What up, Socrates? Back in the hizzy. Got a guest today. Check this out, meow. He's got his own channel. Check it out if you are interested in armor, polymers, anything technical, smart people stuff, bulletproof armor. Go ahead. You can. Why don't you tell them before we get into this? Why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself, real quick? Shout out to your channel or whatever. Can you hear me? I think we're experiencing a bit of lag, perhaps. Check this out, meow. Can you hear me? Well, fuck. All right. Well, I'm going to call him back. Looks like he got a little bit disconnected. Let's try it again. No big deal. We'll connect him back in a second here. Get this going. All right, let's try that again.
Hey, you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Hey. All good. Did you hear any of the thing that I said or whatever?
No.
Okay. I was just saying our names and introducing you. If you want to take a second to talk about your channel and what you do, and
oh, absolutely, that'd be great. Any chance?
Give yourself a shout out.
Yeah, get to shamelessly plug my channel. My name is Check This Out, Meow, and I do channel about armor, composites, plastics, gadgets. It's all about building modern technology using state-of-the-art plastic forming techniques that some are very new that I've learned over the last few years talking with this guy. It's funny, 5-6 years ago, me and him sat very close to that room and talked about building bulletproof armor, and here we are, and I'm actually able to do it in my own house, so it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
Yep. And
advancing technology.
Yep. And
no,
I mean,
no small feat.
Yeah, now we're on here talking about all of our ideas to the world and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Truth. And you and I should be doing a podcast pretty soon, and we'll get into all the details of what you do and what you're all about, and
absolutely
where we intersect, I guess, in that area, right?
Yeah. Quite a bit. Yeah, we'll go for hours if no one. I mean, well, now people can listen to what we go on for hours about. So
right.
I figured I was going to do Aristotle because you're Socrates, or maybe
that'd be tight. Socrates' student was Plato, and Plato's student was Aristotle.
Yeah.
So there's a direct link there from top to bottom.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, Pluto's Republic was when I was in high school, that was I took Latin class, and I actually translated a good portion of Pluto's Republic, and that's why I've been a big advocate for the Republic ideals of people led by law, and the idea that a democracy is good, but voting for everything is difficult, especially when it gets bigger and bigger. And so having idea of establishment of law, and if the law is just, as long as the people have control over the law, and saying like, and that's the true heart of a republic, is thinking that the law is just, and if the law is bad, to change the law, and then the law is good. And I like that ideal over a democratic order. I like a republic order because I like the idea. The Romans lasted for a very long time because of a republic. And it wasn't until they became an empire that they kind of fell apart, It's like Caesar was a cool dude. He was very charismatic, but he really fucked a lot of stuff up for them.
Yes, he did.
You know,
I used to believe in democracy wholeheartedly, but lately I'm not sure that that's the right answer. And Socrates actually hated democracy, the original Socrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting you say that because, yeah, well, and I think we see it nowadays because if you control the heart of the people and their emotion quickly, you react because you see something and you get mad. And so you say, I feel bad because this is terrible and I want to do something. And so you act without necessarily be rational about it.
Truth. It's very emotionally based laws, right? Like, oh my God, my kid killed himself with a gun. Nobody should be able to have guns, right? It's always a rush to judgment, a rush to, it's like, I feel really bad and that's awful that happened, but guess what? He'd kill himself with anything if he absolutely wanted to die and he had no gun. And so what are you going to do? Outlaw trees and ropes and, you know what I mean?
Well,
it gets a little ridiculous.
Well, and you know, it's like, I'm not bashing Obama in any ways. I don't really aim to get out and, you know, to try to start the whole against political leaders, especially if they've been in power. You know, he had certain really unique ideas. But one thing that really upset me was after those kids got shot up in that school, one of the first things he said was that if it saves one life, isn't it worth trying? And it's like, do you not see the fallacy in that?
It's not. You don't take away everyone's rights so that one person may or may not, and it's going to be may not, because we've seen over and over that every country that you try to do that, it just doesn't work. Well, you want to start into this video here?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's go ahead and get on with it.
It's all good, but you know, I'd love to just get off all into this in a podcast, but let's knock this bitch out real quick.
Yep, for sure.
All right, here. You should be able to see it now.
Yep.
All right. Ignore this Steve Shives last few seconds of his what he's got to say here. It's the question after this where we begin. I ended the part 2 on this douche. So
how can we ever expect to make any social progress to reduce racism? Or did I just answer my own question?
God, he annoys me. Male feminist.
You often say that you are for equality of opportunity, but if people of color, for instance, have to overcome barriers whites do not, such as discrimination and unequal treatment, as are well documented in various studies, then how can the current situation be thought of as equal opportunity in any real way? And why do you consider it racist to discuss these issues?
Do you understand basic?
I know I don't consider it racist to discuss those issues, but she just says, oh, it's well documented. That's saying something is not the same thing as presenting something, right? Like I can say it's well documented that Bigfoot exists, but that's not exactly proving anything. It's not an argument. You know what I mean? Like that's my biggest problem with all these supposed reasonable questions for anti-social justice warriors. This video was made by this Christy Winters chick before the election, and they were so smug. They had all the media on their side. They thought the whole world agreed with them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's really funny when it's now they're not in that position of power really anymore. They're, you know, they lost the battle of ideas because they didn't have any. They just had opinions. Those are not the same thing as ideas or arguments.
Right. Right. For sure. It's very disconcerting stuff. Like this whole triggered modern culture that they immediately shut down any discussion because they're uncomfortable.
Truth.
And so you can't. How can you discuss it's a modern day, you know, like kind of fascist in a lot of, you know, it's
oh my God, totally.
How you, the second, if you can't discuss it, you know, it's like even white supremacist groups, as terrible as they are, you could go and march against them and discuss ideas with them and they will spit at you or they might be aggressive. But this new culture, it's like the moment you meet these people out on the street and you try to even slightly discuss this stuff with them, if you're not completely for them, you're against them.
True.
And they just shut down and start screaming at you. It's like, I don't know how many videos where I just see these people screaming at people about this crap, and it's like they don't let any ideas. You know, it's like defending, like how you're talking about defending your case, the bringing it up and defending it. And if you don't want to defend it, then that's fine. Just say like, no, this is how I feel, and let's get off of this. You don't have to say triggered. And
but maybe they shouldn't bring it up if they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's very true. They shouldn't be out flaunting it if they don't want to discuss it.
Exactly. And they're just so see-through, these motherfuckers, man.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to hit up this next question.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
Understand basic English syntax. Like, you know, if I say this cat is pretty, I don't mean that all other cats aren't pretty. Like, do you really not get why saying all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter is not only racially insensitive, but just patently ridiculous?
Isn't it offensive to men to a...
Well, hold on. Oh.
Sorry, it's a little bit annoying, this mute thing.
Right.
Yeah, my opinion on that bullshit is, if I said that, you know, something like, you're pretty for a black girl, does that shit seem racist? It certainly does to me, sort of. I mean, they're saying that we're racist for saying all lives matter. You're racist for only considering black lives or putting them above. The definition of bigotry is when you can't stand other people's ideas, which you had just addressed in the last question. And the definition of racism is when that you think that your race is superior and you need special privileges and everyone's just not equal to you. Well, Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, is a supremacy group, and that's exactly how they act. And they say it's racially insensitive. So it's racially insensitive for you to not say white power to white power people then, right? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? That is ridiculous.
Right.
It's not racially insensitive for us to not use your pronoun or whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. If I call myself the dictator of space, that doesn't mean that I'm the actual dictator of fucking space.
I like that, though. Can I use that?
Yes.
I want to say, well, and look at the analogy he pulls. That's the best one you have, is that if I call one cat pretty, it doesn't mean that all the other cats aren't pretty. You know, that's the analogy he felt was equated to the Black lives. I'm not saying that other lives don't matter. It's just that Black lives matter.
Right.
Is the
and
same.
We're talking about lives, right?
Yeah.
And then we're talking about human lives most of all. And it shouldn't have to be pointed out that if you are only considering your own race when you say things and when you do things, you are making an us versus them mentality, a separation in between. And that is the roots of all bigotry and racism. Right. Making an us versus them. You know, they claim they want to be over racism, but they don't ever talk about anything else.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's never going to stop as long as you're so easily offended. Like he's saying, I'm offended when people say all lives matter. That's what he's saying. You know what, guy? Fuck you. You're a piece of fucking shit. I mean, what kind of, if I just said, okay, so is it okay if I go white lives matter? You would instantly think that I am some kind of white supremacist.
Yeah.
To say all lives matter, if you are offended by the term that all lives matter, you are probably a racist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and the fact that he uses, I mean, the fallacy of his whole, that whole easy discussion, or that sentence he used, like you said, is so simple and it doesn't have much substance to it. And it's like, what he's saying is that by saying Black Lives Matter, I'm not saying that other lives don't matter, but the action of Black Lives Matter people is that Black people, for some reason, now are on a pedestal and need these new treatments, but they can't find a legal reason. Like there used to be Jim Crow laws, right? Yeah. That were in place that kept Black people from eating at white restaurants.
And that's real systemic, written into laws that we can point to, right?
Yeah. But they can't give a reason for any, like, there's no legal racism, but yet they keep using the words like systemic and that Black Lives Matter, but they can't give a good statistic of the most lethal thing to Black young males in America right now are other Black young males. They can't, you know what I mean? It's like the number one cause of death for them. It shot up above heart disease.
Truth.
If you're younger than me, all right, and you're a Black male, your number one cause of death in America right now is another Black male from a firearm that is almost always purchased illegally.
Truth.
And that's not the people that are killing more African Americans in America are other African Americans. And we're the racists because we don't immediately side with you when we're saying that maybe culturally there needs to be some stuff that changes. You know, it's
exactly.
And man,
it's very frustrating. It's like they refuse to accept any blame upon themselves. Like they refuse to accept that they don't act fucked up. Like all these videos where you see people getting shot, they're never doing what the police officer says. And it's like, they will never admit that they have any fault in, like, you know, we were taught to look both ways when we cross the street and to not play in the fucking street. If you weren't taught that and you get hit by a car, then you think you're this victim and this car hit you on purpose. When everyone else is taught to not be a fucking douche. So it's like, I don't understand, like, but they refuse to accept that they should have to change anything. That's victim blaming, right? No, it's not victim blaming. You got hit by a car because your dumbass was walking in the middle of the fucking street. Yes, I am blaming you that you are stupid as fuck for doing that, right? Like when you get pulled over and a cop tells you to do something, you fucking do it. That's not the time to fucking resist and shit, man, or talk shit.
Right. Well, and I think Will Smith said something very intelligent when he said that more, it's not that there's more of these attacks, these episodes with police officers as there was in the 70s or in the 60s. It's just that we're getting more recording of it, you know.
True.
And they don't ever talk about, there are plenty of white people doing stupid stuff and getting harassed or jumped by police officers because they were doing stupid shit. But you don't hear, you have these videos all over, but they don't get billions of views.
True.
Because no one cares that a white guy got shot.
Yeah,
it's more statistically, it's more likely for me to get shot, a white male, in America than it is for a Black guy. That's actual statistics made by the National Justice Institute of Labor. They threw the numbers again and again, and it's more likely for me or you to get shot.
True.
Socrates. But yet they don't mention that.
Right. It's like 2 to 3 times more likely that we get shot as a white male, but it doesn't go in the far left narrative, right?
Yeah. Well, they nitpick, right? They cut those things out and then they don't address it. Like if someone tries to review this video, that's one of those things they won't address. That's an actual statistic because they don't have an answer for it. They just say, well, those other Black people that do get shot shouldn't have gotten shot. No one should get shot. I don't believe in violence in mostly any form except for protection. But I think the argument isn't that we were playing this race card so much, where we're saying because this person is shot and they were Black, they're all of a sudden that cop is like, you know, that's why cops are scared nowadays of that.
Yeah.
Because
no cop wants to go to those areas because they don't want to have to shoot someone and then their life falls apart.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it racist to point out that Black people are, 12% of the population, Black men are 6% of the population, and Black men are responsible for 56% of America's murders?
Yeah.
You know, whose fault is that? Are all those Black people, and most of those murders are other Black people. So are those Black people racist?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why is it you don't hear about the Black on Black crime like Chicago and shit?
Oh, man.
You don't hear about that.
Yeah, Chicago's terrible. That's a great example. That show, Detroit, shows so much of the liberal Everything good?
Looked like we had a bit of a hang up there for a sec, but looks like we're better now. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Do you want me to play this video? Go to the next question.
Men to assume that a man could only ever want equality for women and therefore be comfortable with feminism as a whole in order to get laid, and that reduces us to beasts. If that was the case, wouldn't I attempt to get...
My bad, I thought his question was over. These motherfuckers don't know when to stop asking a question. Hold on.
get laid from my views instead of not ever trying that?
Don't act like you don't ever try to get laid. Why is it that all male feminists look like this motherfucker, right? It's a big cuck, man. And, you know, there are people all the time who are male feminists. Like recently, there was a dude named Richard Carrier. His name is Dick Carrier, for real. And he was a male feminist, and he recently got caught in like this sort of a scandal and shit because I guess he was like harassing some women. And then PZ Myers, another male feminist, like famous, and he on video on one of his talks like harasses this lady straight up on stage in front of cameras and stuff. It's like unbelievable. So, you know, we say this because it's observably true. We see this. We know you motherfuckers are cucks, and the only way you can try to convince a woman to let you put it in her is to, you know, agree with her every statement she makes, you know? And those are usually the women that turn into feminists or hardcore and shit anyway. So you guys are cucks because you're rolling over for every single one of their ideas. You're not even allowed to disagree with them, and you fucking know it. And that's why we call you cucks.
Well, and I think to sum up pretty much all of feminism, you know, because we've talked about feminism quite a bit, you and I. The basis of it was to vote. And progressively, the second an ideal like this takes stuff from people, you know, takes a male's rights, destructive, giving them the right to have sex with who they want, when they want, have control over things, be able to vote. It completely changed, you know, they've changed it over the years. And yeah, I think you've talked about feminism. I've actually been kind of catching up on that because I didn't know those terminologies about that. Like, feminism is complete, it's like, you know, I used to consider myself like, yeah, I support women's rights to have things, get equal pay, but even Vice News, how one of the reasons why there's a wage gap. Statistically, males do make more, but statistically, males also that women either aren't interested in take these grants. You know, there are all these grants for women to do that kind of schooling, electrical engineer, chemical engineer, do that. You know?
Truth. Not only do they not want to do the same hard-ass jobs or dangerous jobs, you don't think you should make money if you're putting your limbs and life on the line? I do. Not only do they not want to do those jobs, but they just have different goals in general. And men, in general, work more hours, you know, and And so there is a very small gap. It's not 77 cents on a dollar. It's actually less than 10%.
Yeah.
But if you factor in their career choices and whatnot, when they say that thing, women make 77 cents on a dollar, they're not talking about a person that holds the exact same job, worked the same amount of hours, the same amount of years there. They're not talking about that. They're talking about, I don't. To be honest, I don't even know how they come to their fucking dumbass statistic, because every time I've ever looked into it, it always comes out the other end, where it's just bullshit. So I don't even really know where they come up with that.
The best article I've found was from Vice News after Obama said that he was going to do something about the wage gap. And they said, sorry, President, your numbers were off. And they got a lot of heat for this. Vice News did. Because they did an article where they showed that if you factored in all of the jobs, every career you could have in America, and you took all of the women that are in the workforce versus all the men that are in the workforce for any job, men made more money. The problem is, like you said, there are no female lumberjacks. There's no female railroad workers. There's no women working on infrastructure like pouring concrete, where you make $25 an hour. You can be hard pressed to find a female welder. An hour. You just can't do those kind of jobs.
Electrician, plumber, men have built the world, and then women take credit for it and then shit on men, and nothing we've done is good. Really? The fact that you live in civilization right now was all built by dudes. And fought for, and dudes were dying for. Not a lot of women. They were laying on their fainting couches while dudes were out getting fucking shot, to free ourselves from Britain, and then again in the Civil War. You know what? I don't know if you've ever seen these Civil War pictures. There's tons of bodies laying out in a field. None of them women. None. War photos, man. Look through almost any war photos anywhere in the world, and all you see is a bunch of dead dudes.
Well, see, but you see, Dan, they would say that that's toxic masculinity right there.
Yeah, no, that's called the truth.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. We're bound to toxic masculinity. That's why we go to war. If women ran the place, we wouldn't have war.
Ha!
But they don't mention that there have been women serial killers. They don't mention
one of the most prolific in the world ever was a woman.
Yeah. They don't mention the fact that statistically,
they their victims' blood, and sick bitch, man.
Oh yeah, we had one in Indiana. Have you ever watched Deadly Women? It's a great show on Discovery.
Yeah.
One of the most prolific in America was a woman, and the numbers on the rise of women raping other women and women killing other women is actually on the rise, which is ironic because women aren't supposed to. It would be a peaceful place if they ran everything, but statistically, the more women have these rights in the last 20 to 30 years, we're seeing that number grow of women on women rape, and women on women murder, and women on men murder is increasing. Yeah.
And women on men rape too. It's actually a lot more common than I thought it was. When I looked at the numbers, I was quite shocked.
Yeah. That number is going on the rise too. And it's just fascinating that they say that masculinity is toxic, to attack that because we are men, we can't have a valid argument because we are poisoned. It's toxic because we have any pride in male. So any work that males have ever done, this is a great tactic. It's brilliant, because then anything that males have ever done can be discounted because we're toxic. And morally, we're flawed because of masculinity. Because we were taught not to cry, to toughen up, that the world's a hard place and you have to push it back.
Yeah.
If the world pushes against you, you don't run and hide, you stand your ground. We were taught these things, and that's flawed. And so because this is a flawed nature that we were taught, that's why there's war. But like I said, these new statistics that are coming out about violent acts that women are doing prove that it's not masculinity that is the reason why there's murder in the world. Because women can kill too.
Hell yeah.
Plain and simple.
And they do.
And
they
I just want.
And, you know, we're a whole generation of men raised by women. And there's been studies that come out in the UK and in America recently where they found out they interviewed women and they asked them, how many times do you have to hit your child? We're talking like 5 months old to like 3 years old. Like, oh, once a month. But when they studied it, they found out they were hitting them 9 times a week. And so, you know, no wonder there's these issues. They say that women wouldn't do nothing, but women are beating the shit out of little boys and girls all the time. And we're talking, you know, when you're 3 years old, you're a baby, man. I mean, you know, 5 months old, that's a baby. That's not a child. You shouldn't be hitting a 5-month-old baby, right? The idea that women can't be violent or the world would be peaceful. Really? Look at Egypt. It's covered in sand. It's a desolate fucking wasteland. Shit was ruled by women. Explain that shit. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't that shit be fucking thriving? It's raised by women. I mean, it should be George Jetson's over there.
Right.
Fucking ridiculous, dude. We're all human beings. Hillary Clinton wanted to drone Julian Assange, the dude from WikiLeaks. He's like in South America. He's hiding out, you know, because they want to extradite him to the U.S. Hillary Clinton wanted to drone and kill him, bomb him. Just a guy who's exposing her bullshit. She also she talked about nuking Russia. War with Russia. She said this on her campaign. That idea is fucking patently absurd.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Russia is really grown as a nation. Yeah, man.
Bullshit. I'm gonna go on next question.
Yeah, this modern feminism is just the, you know, like we talked before, what's the end game? When would you be, like, if you were a feminist and you're watching this, like, I honestly want to know. We want to have these discussions. We're outraged and upset because every time we hear these things and these stats and these statistics, just like you get upset, we get upset, and we want to discuss it. That's what this channel is about, is war on ideas. If you really want to open up and discuss them, discuss them.
Exactly.
And don't shut down with trigger. Don't shut down with toxic masculinity. Let's
racist, bigot, homophobe.
Yeah.
Trans, you know.
Let's pull it out. Let's study what people are afraid of. Even Bill Maher, who, talking about Islam, said that Islam is not like any other religion. And that guy is very liberal. And he actually got booed by most liberals because of his
decision
about that, about how he feels about Islam. And he calls the modern day progressive liberal movement, he said that most of them are a bunch of pansies. It was pretty fascinating. Yeah, when he said that a lot of, because he's starting to, I think, get fed up with every time he starts talking about this stuff, he gets called as Islamophobe. And what he actually did in one of his discussions recently, and he's like, shouldn't we be afraid of terrorism? He's like,
it's a real fucking threat. It happens to us all the time.
Yeah, and he's like, and if that's what I am because I'm afraid of terrorists, then you can call me that. It was amazing that he just like, he took it. He's like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take this new title. As long as we can admit that there's something to be afraid of.
There's a famous quote that says, you weaken everything you exaggerate, right? And it's so true. Like, they've used racist and bigot and all that so much to where it doesn't even have meaning anymore, right? Like, you don't even actually have to be a racist or a bigot. They just use it to stop conversation. So they've ruined it for themselves.
Yeah.
They cried wolf too many fucking times. They call people racist who aren't racist. They call people bigot who aren't bigots. And I think that time has shown them to be the true bigots. I'm going to play the next question if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's all good. No worries.
People who use terms like cuck, female.
Sorry, I'm gonna back that up because the mute was
get laid
on.
From my view, trying that.
Yeah. If you say you're an egalitarian, will you call out the man-hating slurs that you see coming from people within your community?
No.
People who use terms like cuck, beta male, faggot, or mangina.
Quit being a
All of
mangina.
those things basically distill men down into thinking that the most important thing about them is to be having sex with a woman. That's rather offensive. So what are you?
Oh, wow, you're offended? No, I will not police anyone's language. I'm not you. I'm all for people having the personal liberty, and I will die for their right to say things that I disagree with, yo. You know, that they say a smart person, the difference between a smart person and a dumb person is a smart person is one that can process an idea through his brain without necessarily holding that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And a dumb person just like runs away from other ideas. That's what they do, right? You know, you're not allowed to talk here, right? Like they show to me that they are not smart all the time by not being able to deal with other people's ideas.
Well, and use like really words that
Right?
such bigger issues.
That's offensive. We don't give a fuck. You don't have a right to not be offended, bitch.
Well, it's like
You don't have a right to not be offended. But look at the look on her face. She's not offended. She's not hurt. This bitch is rolling in the mire of her own make-believe victimology. She's rolling in it. That face is not one of an oppressed person. Look at her background. Does that seem like an oppressed? You know, this is not what oppression looks like, yo.
right. Well,
This shit is what privilege looks like.
well,
Typical ass face. That is so patronizing. Like she's talking to children.
well,
When she's the one that can't deal with ideas.
well. Here's my problem, and it comes from South Park. It comes from South Park. Hear me out, okay? Here's my problem: is okay. I'll meet you halfway. I'll even say this to her. I'll meet you halfway. Cocksucker, you say that using cocksucker is a reference to male genitalia and thus is offensive, right? And using certain that's what they're saying is that we use certain things to belittle homosexuals.
True.
Like faggots. Okay, I understand that. You know, Eminem got in some hot water for using faggots so much, and
Yeah.
the words like that. Where he came from, that was just the common insult.
I'm here where he came from too, and it was.
Can even mean the same thing in a lot of ways. But here's the problem. Where does the censorship stop? At what point that's the problem with this, is that once you open up this form of censorship, like when they told South Park you can't do an image of Muhammad,
Right.
and they said, no, we're going to challenge that. We're going to challenge that because we feel that you cannot censor us because we have this freedom of speech. And the second you censor something, where does it end? Any group from that point on, Christians could say, hey, we will do some terrorist act if you do a sign of Jesus, even though they've always done Jesus in their images. But Buddhists, any group could come up, any group could say, we are offended, you better take that down, you better take it out. And so they realized that if they stopped with the censorship of any form, or if they allowed any form of censorship, that it would just open up the floodgates. And that's my problem is, so we meet you halfway and we stop using cocksucker because it's a reference to male genitalia and it's offensive to homosexuals or something. Where does it end? Where is this line? Then pussy is removed because calling a man a pussy is referencing a female genitalia. And at what point? So we would be so clear what we say.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is basically nobody has the right to not be offended, because when we start policing things to not offend people, nobody's eventually going to be able to speak a word.
Yeah, because anything could be offensive. Because
even a look.
Because of censorship law. Because you said that you cannot say something. You've made something dirtier than the dirtiest word.
Right.
It's like you just said fuck wasn't the worst word. Cocksucker. That's the worst.
Right.
You made that worse. Yeah, give me a minute.
No words matter to me. You know, I could care less.
Well,
question?
Yeah, go ahead.
This player is not very responsive. I apologize.
That's fine.
All right.
You got it? All right.
What is the number of followers, the number of likes, the number of dislikes, the number of retweets, the number of subscribers, any of those numbers, any of those metrics? What have they got to do with the argument?
No.
Deepak Chopra, for example, a man who trots out an endless stream of pseudoscientific quantum woo bollocks, has nearly 3 million followers. So what? Those people follow him because he tells them what they want to
Fuck
hear.
Deepak Chopra.
Why even mention the number of followers you have? What difference does it make?
Why is it that you go on and
It doesn't make any difference. The argument, I believe it's a fallacy, something at populum, where it's like, you don't just agree with things because everyone else does, right? Like, that's a fallacy in itself. So he's saying that we do that, but I feel like they do that because they're the ones, like liberal media said that Donald Trump had like literally like a few percent, like 1, 2, 3% chance to win. They bolstered their numbers, and they tried to convince the world that everyone thought like them, and then they found out do not think like them. And so it's really weird that, you know, it's like they're all projecting with their questions, because all the questions they ask, it's like they give no examples, but in my refutation to their question, I give an example. It's like, even though they're making a positive claim, I'm the one that shows examples in the other direction. Why don't they ever have examples, right? Like, how are they going to convince people without being able to point to something? Terrorism, look, 9/11, 2 towers. I got something to point to, right? There it is.
Well, that's
I just don't get it.
Well, when you come from a group of people that were taught how to debate compared to a group of people that were taught to cling to ideas rather than to debate ideas. You know, I loved debate class in high school, and I loved philosophy because I loved the idea of exchanging of ideals. And I'm not going to be the one to say that I'm always right, but I need, you know, tangible. And that's where your argument is tangible, because you have points, you have stats, you have these sort of things. And, you know, bending those things to the point where they just like, he just used that guy as an example. I don't know who he's talking about. I've never even seen this video. This is actually the first time I'm watching it. So you're getting kind of a clean reaction of just watching, you know, what me trying to think on my feet about this sort of stuff. And it's like we've already said a lot of it with the whole triggering and not discussing these things. Because it's like, it'd be so willing to hear you out if every time a white male started talking against you, you didn't trigger and say that something aggressive will happen if that white male doesn't stop talking.
True. So
it's
true.
like, that's dangerous. That is a dangerous ideology.
Fuck yes. Because you're criminalizing like 65% of the population without even knowing that.
Yeah.
That is bigotry. That is racism.
Yeah. And it's like, that is so dangerous to progress ideas like that, where it's just like, well, this is the popular. So everybody's in the popular vote, guys. Everybody's in there. But like you said, there's so many of us on the kind of in the middle going, well, that's dangerous. You know, like to think like that.
Truth.
That would be like if me and the guy on here that's, you know, that I'm able to do this with, you know, you, Mr. Socrates, it's like if we sat on this and then someone said, oh, okay, well, I want to debate you guys. And the whole time we just kept saying, we're triggered. We're not going to talk about that. We're triggered. We're not going to, I don't want to, it's like, it's one thing if you don't feel like you have anything like, oh, I don't agree with you. Well, at least come out and say that. Like, okay, back at a different day about that, you know.
Yeah, it's put your fingers in your ears and going la 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 la. I can't hear you, right?
Yeah, and not discussing it.
Yeah, they're children, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play the next question. Truth, man. I think you hit it good there.
On and fucking on about safe spaces and trigger warnings and delicate little flowers, but continue to hide behind your cartoon avatars and your childish pseudonyms. And whenever anyone calls you out on your sexist rape,
why do we go on and on and on about safe spaces and trigger warnings I don't believe it's us that want safe spaces. You know, it's like there's that cry bullying again. You know, they demand because they're so oppressed. When you demand stuff, you're privileged, not oppressed. They demand from the white people who are such devils, I guess, build them a safe space, right?
Yeah.
Provide it to them for free. And we're, you know, when we say that's ridiculous, they say that we go on and on about it. We're not the ones advocating for segregation.
Yeah,
we're advocating for integration.
Right. Well, and just to be real, look, here's a problem. I'm not even going to tell you to pony up. I'm not going to tell you to strengthen up. Like, I'm not even going to go there. What I'm going to say is that there are some very bad people in this world that will hurt you, and you can't just, you know, Louis C.K. said really well that, you know, sometimes things aren't fair and you have to learn to deal with it because that's the reality. And safe spaces to me is cushioning these kids and it's crippling them.
True, and it makes them a target. Like, where do terrorists go? Gun-free zones every time.
Yeah, because you could shoot them all.
A gun zone, they got dropped in Texas.
Well, and how could you could mow them down? Because and here's another great thing is that this guy immediately said that you and me hide behind avatars. Because we have a problem with triggered and safe spaces. And here we are. Hey, bud, come on out and talk with us. We'll sit down and debate with you.
We'll figure out
three-way.
But they can't talk. You know, we don't even have to talk stats, just ideas. You know, like we would destroy them. They don't want to do that. Their usual response to that is educate yourself. I don't have to tell you anything. Educate yourself. But when I advocate for an idea, I'm willing to give examples and actually debate it. It's like, don't bring up an idea if you're not willing to, you know, if you want everyone to drop it, right? You know, why'd you bring it up then? Like, it's like about Black Lives Matter racism too. It's like, sometimes if you want people to drop it. People are so uncomfortable around black people now. It's like they're so afraid. You know, I heard a lot of black people say that they're afraid of, or that people are afraid to, you know, even interact with them almost because they're almost worried about them, you know, flipping out over the dumbest shit. They just assume that all of them are going to be like that. It's not true, you know, but yeah, if every person you ran into who wore like a black hat, like murdered somebody, you'd start to be like, look crazy upon people that wear a black hat, right? It doesn't, you know, any trait is like that, you know? Every group has its look. Like, fucking Cholo gangsters got their fucking type of tattoos, right? And Maori warriors got their type of tattoos. We all got distinctions, man, and distinctions, you know, more often than not, are easy dividing points for people, right?
Used to be when you went to Japan, and if you had a tattoo, only Yakuza members had tattoos.
True.
So they would think you were a part of the Yakuza. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just to walk into culture and all of a sudden be like, yeah, I'm in a mafia. No big deal. But yeah. Well, and they create such strong division because I think that here's the thing. They're told, if you were told something for a very long time, regardless of whether it's true or not, you would believe it. We know this. That's psychologically that, you know, implanting ideas. And that's kind of honestly how brainwashing works, is if you told people that you're oppressed, you are oppressed, you are an oppressed people over and over and over again, you would have this immediate, like, oh my gosh, I'm everything that goes wrong would be because of that. It would be related to, because you were told that everything that happens is because of this. And it's the same reason that you have a problem with a lot of this feminism and stuff. And they want us to be that angry. They want us to be that bad. They say that you know, they don't use examples of people that don't have avatar or that are out there, like Ben Shapiro, who got grabbed by a transgender dude because he called him a guy.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And he was like, if you keep talking like that, you're going to go out here in a body bag. That motherfucker had a deeper voice than me, dog. I know exactly what you're talking about, man.
And I love Ben Shapiro's response to it was, well, that wasn't very ladylike.
So Oh, great.
Like, yeah, dude, that's not very ladylike, bro. Sorry. Like, man.
So
It's
nice.
like, I'm not dissing you if you want to be a woman. I'm not dissing that. I honestly not. I don't
But
have
don't
a
expect somebody else to have opinions.
yeah. Well, that exactly. It's my problem. It's not. I don't have a problem with women voting and women to work. And if a woman can weld, I've met 2 female welders in my life. I've worked in factories for the last 10 years of my life, and I've met 2 female welders. And one of them, she was a badass. That girl could weld, and she learned from her father, who used to make race cards. Right? She learned at a young age from her father, and she was a badass. She could out-weld anybody, but that's her skill level. It wasn't because she had a vagina. She was just that good because she learned from her father. She worked with her hands at a young age. And most young boys go out into their shop of their father and learn from them. You know? And so that's they're usually better at these sort of things. It's not that a woman can't do it. I just gave 2 examples of women that I saw that were good. One of them was decent. The other one was fucking fantastic. She could weld anything.
But women grow up playing princess, right?
Yeah.
And dudes grow up, you know, we're fighting, playing war in the backyard and,
working,
you know, doing shit, fighting with sticks and, you know, they play games of the mind, you know, like mental, they manipulate through conversation and emotions, and they train that way. They train each other to their whole lives. Teach each other to work as a group. You know, we play sports. We're always trying to work as a team and that sort of thing, you know, and we're just raised completely different. And it's not to say that one person can't cross over and be raised the other way, like you said about the female welders, but it's just that it's not common or typical. There aren't a bunch of construction workers or electricians or plumbers that are female. They aren't interested in that shit because we have a culture that really pushes on them to be a princess for some fucking reason.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to play the next question, yo.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Homophobic and bigoted rhetoric, you become the argument of your own scorn and are #triggered, as they say.
We're not triggered.
To publicly acknowledge and admonish the massive amount of hatred, bullying, harassment, and intimidation that a lot of your fans infringe upon people.
Oh, come on. You got some tweets. You don't know who it's from. You don't know whose fan it is. You know what I'm saying?
Ongoing anti-bullying stance, or do you kind of like watching your fans go around harassing people and calling them slurs and telling them to kill themselves? You kind of like it, don't you? I mean, if that's your thing, I guess that's just what you're into. Just makes you a dick.
Why do you find it so hard to believe that?
That's complete bullshit. It's all just a bunch of talk. I don't even know what he's talking about. Somebody told you to go kill yourself. So what?
Yeah.
On the fucking internet, dog. Like, are you serious? If you know, even if they told you that to your face, go kill yourself. Big fucking deal. Not everyone you encounter in this world is gonna fucking love you.
That's so true. And my problem is that trolls who found a way to start more and more, you know, stoke this fire in them. And their encampment, and they're moving. They're trying to gain ground with these ideas. I mean, there's a feminist that was from down in, like, I think it was Florida that I read this article about, who really believed that this whole idea of toxic masculinity. She was one of the major proponents for it. She got her doctorate in criminal justice and psychology or something like that, and she said that she had this idea of pretty much reducing the population of males and just having us in pretty much an area. Like, and I'm not joking when I say that she actually brought this up and it got ground. Like, how
I've heard this. She wanted to reduce the male population to 10%.
Yeah.
And then put them in jail. Basically, they'd live in prisons in a cage. And they said that they would check them out like books at a library to breed with the females and then put them back in their cage.
Yeah. And what fucking blows my mind about this is that this idea got any ground.
Right.
Like, why wasn't all the other feminists like, oh, that's a little too extreme. We want equality.
Right.
Why did you say that when this lady? But no, it got ground, and more women were like, "Yeah, that's a great fucking idea."
Women
That's not
say-
equality.
Total
That
true, man. Nailed it.
It's so oppressive.
It's so ridiculous.
And what about the poor gay guys? What about them? They would be the ones that get the fuck the most in that. And then I bet you anything, they would let gay guys be out in their society. And then all men would just have to pretend to be gay. I don't know about you, but I would totally pretend to be gay just so I could stay out in society if this ever went down. But
it depends how much you gotta pretend. Like if I have to pretend like sometimes they make you kiss a dude or like, all right, well stick a stick in your mouth. And it's like, I don't know if I could pretend that much.
Hey Dan, if we're in this situation post-apocalyptic, I'll let you use my penis in your mouth to prove.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
As if I'm like, oh please, come apocalypse, right? Like,
I'll come apocalypse. It's a new musical.
I'll fight my way over to your house, and I would have to really be gay. At that point, I'm definitely not faking. If I have to chop my way through hordes of zombies to get to your house just to put your dick in my mouth, if that ain't gay enough, it is.
I'm proving it. But then you have all the proof you need. And we'll have this romantic scene when we run and we jump into each other's arms. Yeah, it'll be beautiful. I'm really excited about the apocalypse now. The female apocalypse.
It sounds beautiful. Yeah, bring the apocalypse. I'm gonna play the next question, bro.
Yeah, go right ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's get this going.
Why do you find it so hard to believe that feminists are being harassed online?
Do you understand the key importance of reproducibility?
We don't find it hard to believe. We just don't give a shit. And we don't think you should give a shit.
You still there?
Yeah, just lagged for a second. Go ahead. We're what?
I don't find it hard to believe the feminists are. I don't find that hard at all. People on the internet. Welcome to the internet. The internet takes pride in being mean to people because of anomaly or anonymity. That's a hard word for me to say. Sorry. Because you're anonymous, it's easy. It's very easy. I could right now make a fake Google and I could go on everywhere, make a fake YouTube, and I could just destroy and attack and say hateful things. And people do that for fun. You said before, every virus that was ever made that destroys computers and stuff was made by people to be dicks.
That shit ain't natural, like a natural virus. But it still comes down to they're being offended by words. I don't, it's like, that's why do you find it so hard to believe? It's not that we don't find it hard to believe. We know that's what the internet is, and we don't give a shit. We think you should toughen up and be able to deal with the world as it is. Christ, for all you know, that's a 10-year-old, right? God.
Yeah.
Toughen up.
It is.
Grown-ass people. This motherfucker got gray hair and can't handle words.
Yeah. Well, that's the truth, is that they get offended and triggered and...
Truth. I'm gonna play the next question, all right?
Yeah, go right ahead. Sorry, yeah.
It's all good. Oops. Back it up a second here. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Mr. being harassed online.
Do you understand the key importance of reproducibility and repeatability in scientific research? Google startup doing a 30-second search for keywords and pulling out the first paper you find.
I have no idea what he's even talking about, so I'm not going to pause it.
But you have to have a much broader overview to read the material, to follow the citations through, to look at the broad brush approach to a particular.
You guys are the ones that don't want to deal with broad ideas. You guys want diversity of colors, not diversity of ideas. They don't say diverse like French, German, Polish. They're all different cultures. They're all different, but they're all white, so that don't count as diverse.
Right.
If you identify as an egalitarian, then I'm interested in your take on the usefulness of the concept of the original position as laid out by John Rawls in his theory of justice.
Look at this smug ass bitch, dude. She's so proud of herself. My response to her is, well then, this fucking smug ass bitch. I want you to tell me in Sun Tzu's The Art of War why feminism has, and Islam is, for that matter, has so many of his ideas put into practice if it's about equality. Why don't you lay that shit out for me since we're giving each other homework, bitch?
Well, what was her question?
It wasn't a question. She just basically like gave a reading assignment. No bullshit. I'll play it again. It's not really even a question. She's so proud of herself. Like she's so fucking intelligent. Bitch, we read books too. Act like you're the only one that ever fucking read a book. I mean, are you serious right now?
Yeah, I can't see you right now.
Oh no, I'm about to play the video. Can you see the video, right?
As an egalitarian, then I'm interested in your take on the usefulness of the concept of the original position as laid out by John Rawls in his theory of justice.
As a supporter, as a proponent of freedom of speech, what?
In your take on the usefulness of the concept of the original position as laid out by John Rawls in his theory of justice.
As a supporter, as a proponent of freedom of speech, why do you want to...
And then sit there and look smug like that. Shit makes no motherfucking sense to me. It's like, bitch, you didn't even ask a question. You just said, lay out this dude's fucking ideas compared to yours. I think my response with Sun Tzu was a lot more clear. I mean, she didn't even... Fuck that bitch, dude. She's so goddamn stupid. She doesn't even realize. And why does, you know, if you really had an idea to get across, why wouldn't you just say the fucking idea?
Well,
why would you say, go read a book? She basically said, go read a book.
Yeah. Well,
here's the book I want you to read.
Well,
that isn't how it works. That's not a question.
Well, that was very much her saying, look at my degree. Have you ever heard the joke where when Harvard students, you know that Harvard students went to Harvard because they tell you they went to Harvard? You said, outline this blank by this book because you wanted people to just hear that you read this book, you had this idea, you didn't say anything about, you didn't say any idea. You didn't say, what's your opinion, ma'am? What opinion? You said, hey, like you said, Socrates, like she literally said, hey, go look this up and look how smart I am. For
right.
Look, I made my dissertation on this guy that's esoteric and his book is rarer than fine gold and is brilliant. You haven't said anything. What's your opinion?
Right. Or what's the idea? Why not just cut out the middleman? I mean, nobody's ever going to go read this fucking book. You know, a few books are read because somebody recommended it.
Well,
you know?
Well, especially, it's like, you know what? I'm going to look up that book now. And I am going to read it. And I'm going to outline this shit for her.
Oh, dude, that's going to be an epic ponage video, dog.
Yeah, just be like, all right, here you go. Here you go, ma'am. I'm really dissatisfied that you have this elitist idea that they taught you at a college where you just said, oh, well, here's an assignment. Ha, got you there. You know, it's like...
That's the same thing as an argument, right? A book is the same thing.
You know, Socrates, we're doing this all wrong. We need to be like, all right, divide by pi, multiply by the square root. Boom! Suck it!
Truth.
Oh, man. I just can't... But
it's annoying, right?
Well, that was elitist. That was her being in the elite college select. That was her saying, look at how intelligent I am.
Or she just read a book once. Either one.
Yeah, but it was to fluff herself up. Either way.
Yeah, totally.
It wasn't, this is an idea about this.
But you wouldn't know it by the look on her face, right?
Yeah, no, you said she was smug. smug.
Totally. I'm gonna play the next question if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
As a supporter, as a proponent of freedom of speech, why do you want to quash academic freedom? If you're not familiar with the concept of academic freedom, it's worth, in the UK at least, looking up the 1988 Education Reform Act and seeing what that says about.
He basically drolls on, but the main question is, why do we try to stifle academic freedom? I believe that it's social justice warriors. There's a dude right now called Jordan Peterson. He's a college professor. He was just on Joe Rogan's podcast last week. Has so much flack from social justice warriors, not from anti-social justice warriors, but from social fucking justice warriors, getting all up in his face, trying to make him use their fucking pronouns and all this bullshit. I mean, they're so deluded. It's like they're projecting. This is all the shit you motherfuckers do. You just say this, but look, once again, you make an accusation. I provide proof that the opposite is actually true. However, you never provided any, but you made the positive claim. Over and over. It is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
These guys, they're fucking ridiculous.
Well, and what happened in that time frame? You said go look up this yet again. Another guy was like, look up what happened in the UK at this time, and like,
right. Why not just say it if it's that apparent, right?
Yeah, and it was that good. If it was that good, why not just tell us.
If it's something worth anything.
And what ideas in this education reform are any different from the ideas of our education reform? What is not being reformed? Like, you're not discussing anything. You have nothing to bring to it. You're not bringing the ideas.
Right.
All you're is, here's an article, and why can't we do that?
Right. So what if you go to, one of those things where the people can speak in front of all the council of elected people in your town and all that shit, a town hall meeting or whatever? What, are you going to go there and tell them to read a book? Or are you going to be able to lay out your fucking ideas and try to make a goddamn difference? They never have an argument. They always just have an emotional thing, or they'll send you off and basically say, educate yourself. But sometimes you see that in many different forms, they'll say, go educate yourself. Go read a book. Go look up this. Look, if you can't just say the example or say the person, if you can't point to the fucking law, then you might want to change your fucking ideas about your perceived reality, man.
Well, and you know what's great is that I'm going to look this up now, just like I'm going to look up her book, and it's like I'm going to educate myself. And clearly is that we're just not educated on these two things, because if we had read this esoteric script from, he said, like the 80 or 98 or 88 when I'm not sure exactly. It was 85 or something. This thing came out. I'm gonna go look this up.
I'll back it up just slightly. But when a person makes a positive claim, it's their job to prove it. If you spent all your time debunking everyone's claims, you'd never get to your own ideas, right? So
you're being too scientific. You're being too scientific there. That's what the scientific community does. You see, when you have a claim, you have to defend it, and then other people have to look it up and find it to be true. And then when enough people look it up to be true, they say that it's a law or it's a new idea, because they can all test it. If you can't test an idea, then it's not true. Philosophy works very similar, because science was built on philosophy. True. With the whole logical progression and razors, all the fun
stuff. Socratic method, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Double-blind tests and
I'll tell you, this is cut down. You shave down ideas with razors. There's all sorts of great razors that you look up in philosophy, like the idea that, if this is true and then this is true, that makes this true.
Right.
That's always the case. So that's a razor, right? When
razor, Hitchens razor. Yeah, I know. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, and that shows fallacies in other people's arguments, because you get users of logic, and you
Hitchens is great. Hitchens razor was like things that can be how does it go? Things that can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Right. And that's a razor. You see, so you take that to arguments. because philosophy was meant to be debated. And so you take it to these people's arguments, and you take this razor and you cut away at their argument using a razor.
Yep.
And the problem, if their argument stands, then it proves your razor's dull. It's not a good razor, so you have to get a new razor. Or
Right.
their idea is right. Whichever's the strongest wins. And that's the idea of philosophy, is you cut with razors. You see?
Totally.
We cut each. It's very brutal. Philosophy is very brutal. You know,
but that Hitchens razor fits these questions perfectly because they provide no evidence, therefore they can be dismissed without evidence. But just for the hell of it, I'm providing them a little bit of evidence in response anyway.
Yeah, because that's a great idea to do. You know.
Agreed.
About the rights of
sorry.
across one
Oh, go ahead.
Why are you so obsessed with Anita Sarkeesian? Do you really think you can spend your
We're
entire life in a perpetual state of emotional immaturity? Do you actually imagine?
We're not. We don't give. I mean, I only give a fuck about Anita Sarkeesian because that bitch gets to speak at the UN in front of like the whole world. You know, that's a big ass platform, and I think I should be weary of feminist ideology polluting the entire globe, and especially getting more power even in our country. And this motherfucker right here, you know, he says we spend our lives in a perpetual state of childhood or whatever. We can't deal with things. They're the ones that are banning words and all this kind of bullshit. You need to call them their gender pronouns, and they're the fucking snowflake pixie motherfuckers who can't stand reality. I mean, I think we've more than demonstrated that, you know. And what about Trigglypuff? You know, have you ever seen that thing with Trigglypuff? She went to that. I don't know if any you guys just look up Trigglypuff or I'll fucking put a clip on here if we got time. And she acts like a fucking petulant child, man. It's ridiculous, dude. It's just amazing. All these questions are them projecting exactly what they do.
Yeah. Well, and nothing of what he said. All he said was that we act like children for not agreeing that a feminist who we've talked about has some very dangerous ideology, and that you're perpetuating this dangerous ideology.
True.
I really believe that weakening people's morality, it's weakening people. It's making them that. I mean, and we can play this game, but we're not going down that route.
Right.
I'm not. I could go the whole, like, you're triggering me, you're invading my safe space, you're destroying my ideals and my comfort zone, so you have to stop. True. What if we all acted like that? Then nothing would get fucking done.
Nothing
would get fucking done. Sometimes ideas have to fight.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to fight it out. And doesn't mean that you're always right. The strong side doesn't always win. The best side, the smartest side, the most logical.
True.
But move it forward. And we're in a great society because we can say it and not immediately get hung for this shit. Because there were men who died, who got hung for that shit, you know?
Yep.
And when you have a woman who's spouting that that's how the world should view women now and put them on this unique pedestal that they can never do anything wrong, that they can't murder, that they can't rape, when they do. And I'm not saying every woman, but not every man is a serial killer. And we've proven statistically that you were talking earlier about women being the head of the house in a way by raising the children. They've proven now that more male serial killers come from broken families that were raised by single women. Am I saying that in that argument? I'm not saying that every single mother is going to have a male serial killer for a son. I'm saying that it's staggering the amount of serial killers that have come out in the last 40 years. And almost all of them came from a single mother household. Dude.
True.
Some of the worst things. Ted Kaczynski, the one that was flaying women out in L.A., the Night Stalker. That guy.
They're mostly probably abused by women as well, and that's the reason that they probably did that shit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They're also finding that that some of the definite causes for serial killer males is that they're almost always come from a broken home with no father figure in it, and almost always have a very bad relationship with their mother, a violent relationship. And so they grow this hatred of women in them. And then when they get older, they're usually told that their sexuality is terrible, that their penises are terrible, and they get abused by their mothers, and they lash out at women and almost project their mother onto these women. And it's terrible.
True.
It's fucking terrible. It is. It's so sad for that he had to go through it and grew up, and it's so sad for these poor women who are dying because of this shit.
Nailed it. Well said, dog.
You know, it's like these are people's fucking lives we're talking about here, and some of your ideals propagate that, and that's dangerous because people will die. And it's like, I don't want people to die. I don't want even these girls that I dislike because they're ideals. I don't want to make them think that I'm attacking them. I'm not. I want to discuss this, but I'm afraid that the moment we would ever actually talk to these people, they would shut down and get aggressive. And so then you're left with only one choice, and that's be aggressive at them. Because that's
right. If you want to continue any kind of dialogue, that's the only way to do it. They've chosen that.
And that's just sad. That is so sad.
Yeah, totally.
It's like
well said.
It makes me worried about the future in a lot of ways because this, I think the world was shocked because Trump won. And like you said, I think a lot of people, I didn't vote for, I'm just going to come out and say I didn't vote at all. I didn't. So I can't bitch about the election because I didn't vote. Okay, well,
I don't believe in that you can't bitch because you didn't vote. Think about it. If a person at work, they hired a new person and that person didn't work at all and they were shit, it's not like you don't get to criticize them because you didn't hire them. If anything, you have more of a right to criticize because you didn't hire them.
True. I'll say it more like this, that I didn't vote because I didn't feel like either person had ideals that I truly could believe in and back into. Like I said, I am a true republic believer. I believe in law and I believe in that kind of order, that justice is blind and that you're protected by that blindness of justice and blindness of the law, and you're protected by that ideal. I'm very strong in that idea. You know, that is very what I believe in because that protects minorities in the idea that you're truly protected because no one can hurt you because they're blinded to your racism, right? Or blinded to you being your race. But I'm very, very scared of, like I was saying, that I didn't vote. But I think that a lot of people that voted for him didn't necessarily vote for him because of stuff. They did it to oppose these kind of social justice warriors. Because this number of them now, and they're progressing these ideas and they're accepting such radical views of racism and sexism because super feminism is sexist. It's sexist against males. This idea of toxic masculinity. I think a lot of white males, like you said, we are a majority in this country, stood up and they voiced their opinion that even if this guy is a chauvinist, even if he is has said, you're not sure. We don't want the other side, which is so liberal. We've already had 8 years of it, and this is what we're ending up with, where males are the enemy. That by being masculine, you're toxic and you're
we didn't get it. I voted for Obama, and I regret it now. I wanted hope and change, and I got bullshit in return.
Right.
I regret that. You want me to play next question? I think we've just got a couple more.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get through these. Sure.
That you will be able to perpetuate your adolescence for your entire existence.
You guys are the ones that look like children when you're adults. Like you guys never quite.
Yeah, you can't discuss anything.
Stop trying.
Oh, that was it. Look, I'll come out on record and say, I might have some views that are, different, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to immediately shut down and say, well, you're being aggressive or anything against me if it's opposed to that. That's childish. That's being childish.
True.
It's like, how are we discussing this now? How is this being childish? I don't get it. I don't get that aggressive or and it comes down to name calling. Ironically, like a nana, taunting at schools, and this internet is giving people so much power to be able to say stuff like this and just get away with it. It's amazing. But yeah, you can keep going with the questions.
Questions are done.
Oh.
But I had a couple quick short videos to show to just prove, or this one's just kind of funny, but the other one, but the next one I've lined up shows the hypocrisy of one of the things that they say. But check this out. Here's some of the hypocrisy of what women, how they act. She smacked a police officer in his fucking face. And then she says, "Hit me." He slapped her back. And she cries like a baby. Thought you want equality.
I can hear it, but I can't see it. And I can't see you anymore. All I see is
equal rights and lefts. You cannot see me right now?
No.
Okay, you shouldn't be able to see me, but can you see the window?
I can see me.
What?
I can see me down here, and I can hear you, and I can hear the clips, but I can't see them or you. I can just see.
I'll redo this thing right here, and hopefully it'll fix it. Let's see.
It was just weird.
How about now?
No, nothing yet. Oh well, it's fine. We'll just keep going. They should be able to see you.
Well, I don't know that. Like, if you can't see me, I don't know.
Right.
Or, I mean, not me, but the clip, you know. But what this one, all you got to do is hear it, so maybe it'll be all right. But
all right.
This is some feminist slam poetry, okay? This is something that they love to do. I don't know why.
Feminist dude is good at hacky sack.
Can you hear it?
Feminist dude doesn't want your number, wants your address, wants to write you a letter. Feminist dude wants to tell you all about the time he almost beat up a bro, the time he spent in a third world country, the time he saw that movie so good he cried. Feminist dude is not afraid to cry, but feminist dude never does. You cry all the time, so you know crying is not attractive, but he is not like other men. Tells you you're not broken. There are enough red flags to clothe an army of white knights, but feminist dude has read so many books, and he has so many opinions about the books, about his opinions, about the books. Feminist dude has opinions about your opinions too. You can talk for hours. I mean, listen to him talking. Feminist dude has a lot to say about the plight of women until you get him drunk. And then he has a lot to say about boobs and the word no.
So the moral of the story is, and this is exactly what I'm saying, the reason that we call feminist dudes cucks is because even feminist women say they aren't supposed to basically speak. They're not supposed to have a voice. They're supposed to agree with everything that they're told, right?
Yeah.
That's why we call them fucking cucks, man. And there it is out of feminist's mouth. What?
That was so enlightening. Even feminists don't like feminist guys.
Yeah, they hate men. They don't want equality. They want you to shut the fuck up and not have any opinions. Meanwhile, they actually don't have any ideas. They just present opinions as if they're ideas, or opinions and emotions as if they're arguments. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Man.
Well, but we covered this video, dog. We can shut this down if you want.
Heck yeah.
Why don't you tell everyone where they can see more of you?
Yeah, sure. Well, hopefully I'll this podcast again soon. But my channel is Tech This Out Meow. Like we talked about at the beginning, I do composite work and gadgets and that sort of thing, and been doing it for a bit now, and should be uploading a few new videos here really soon. I'm real excited. I've been editing and really excited, man. It's been fun because you started your channel. Me and this guy go way back, and so it's exciting to be on here and discussing ideas and at least getting the ball rolling on some stuff. And if you are interested in bulletproof armor or fireproof gloves or that sort of thing, come on over to my channel and check it out at Tech This Out Meow.
Hell yeah. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this. I'm Socrates. That's my homie. Tech This Out Meow. Till next time, we're out. Peace. Stay on the line, dog.
All right.